Go down and find out.
Right there.
Here's another rose bush. Here's another rose bush. Here's the gutter off your house.
Yeah, that's it right there. It was green, I remember.
That's all it's left.
That's that pasture field south. That was that pasture.
Planty's garden up there on that hill. And we would try to outrun the rain when it would rain and try to get the house.
Mm-hmm.
And do you know that we could stand in front of that sheet of rain?
So a whole wall of rain came down, huh?
Yeah.
Well, it's right at the back door.
It's right in here.
Right over there.
Okay, does either one of you remember when John Van and a bunch of people came up, and right down there where that little pond is, it was dry. And they had a square dance there. And we had those old apple trees right over here, really low ones, low down, and we'd get Howard to sleep in the wagon and then run off and leave him under those trees.
But when we lived here, there wasn't any pond there, but every time it rained real hard, that'd
Yeah,
fill
had
up and
water
we'd
in
go down there and wade around
Yeah,
in there.
yeah.
Well, where's the branch?
We crossed it.
We drove right through it.
Yeah, but
Right.
but it went not too far from the house.
Darn,
That
we
hill,
always
that was
Right
just
over here.
right down over the hill. And
there.
Well, we
and
carried
They
water
took me out and left me in the
okay,
water.
you carried water from right over in this way.
Yeah.
Right over that hill that way,
told me one time.
I think.
Did you go down over the hill?
Huh?
I wonder where the spring is right there. My town.
But it's all dry now. So
Well, it probably is, yes.
We crossed the
down over
creek
the hill.
we're coming up there.
And she said, if you're big enough to
And
come to
Dad's
the tree
barn
and cry for
was-
that, you're big enough to quit.
Over this way. And kind of that way. Right?
You got a point.
This is the, if this is the well,
Well,
Now-
that's where the well was.
wasn't the barn back this way?
Barn was
Over that way.
Now I'm turned around.
out there.
I'm turned around down here,
Because
too.
if I was going up to Rose and Aces, I would go this way.
That's right.
That's right.
You would.
You would go
Well,
this way?
now this way. Now the barn, those trees that we left him under were out this way instead of this way.
Oh, I said they were right down there.
Because
They were below the house, kind of.
we would get those,
Well, that was
put
the two
him
big
underneath
sweet
there,
apples.
and we would go up to
Madeline's
Madeline's.
place.
She would get up there and she'd go, yoo-hoo, yoo-hoo,
we'd meet her
yoo-hoo,"
halfway.
and we'd meet her halfway.
And I'd be down there asleep.
We couldn't go until we got Howard asleep. I was awfully little. Sometimes they let me go and sometimes they wouldn't.
They made you go to sleep too, huh?
Sometimes they let me go and sometimes.
Well, Ellen,
They'd make you stay there and watch over
Watch
them.
over
I bet that's one of the big cedars that used to stand around the northwest corner of
Cook a cracker.
Have a crack.
the
Well,
yard.
I didn't think we had
Have a crack.
any cedars too close to the house. Now, they
Well,
was
they was.
somehow,
There was a
They-
row.
yeah, but if the house was there, they'd be pretty close.
Windbreak.
Yeah, he'll have that up on his. Got a,
Oh, she got a horseshoe.
oh, I know. He does.
Now,
Good luck.
Good
were
luck.
these outbuildings any of the buildings that were here?
No, there's nothing here.
No, they wasn't.
Nothing here.
When did they have those?
Oh, that,
I think this is where that man told us that some people had bought part of it and built it, or had a trailer here and the trailer burned.
Well, they have it
And he said they did have some cattle here. Stock, he said.
I can't remember that tree. What that was.
Well, I can't either.
But right down below that's swagging.
But the house, if I remember right, the house sat on the other side of the branch.
I don't remember. The only thing I can remember, I remember one time, me and Dad came back here. Oh, I was probably 7, 8 years old, something like that. And we came back here, and I think the old house was still standing.
Yeah, it was still standing when I was back there one time to a sale
And
back
it
there.
seemed to me like
Court Sharp.
you stood on a hill, and then you faced out to the pasture.
Yeah.
Well, now, of course, Jess says that this could have been the pasture, which is true, because it's all just young stuff out there.
Yeah, I think that was the pasture. But I can't remember.
But it was
what
on a
the
hillside like this. I can recall that.
But I'm saying,
And there was a low spot on the other side of the house. And we came in from this way when Dad and I came in. Lord, that's been...
Well, as I said, I haven't been back here for
9 years old.
61 years ago.
So
So you ought to
61
remember
years?
everything.
I ought to
But now the
remember.
well was between the house and the barn.
That's right.
Yeah.
All
The
right?
barn was
So
kinda-
how could the house be here?
Well, now the barn was over
But the
there.
barn was over that way. Are you sure, Jim?
That's Ace Neal's place over there, and the barn wasn't that way.
Well, then that has the house that.
Which way's east? Oh, that way. All right, the house faced east.
Face east, face south.
Then I don't know.
You come up the hill, that over there where them, all that bushes, that was that pasture right out in front of the house.
Yeah. Okay, you know that I'm the person that I only have two directions. I know straight up and straight down, and that's all I
That's
know.
with me. I've been, got the sun's come up on the wrong side of the house ever since Albert and I've been married.
Well, that happens
Oh,
sometimes,
okay.
but,
You know,
but now the house could have set farther up that way.
But that, was that tree here?
I don't remember
Where
the
did,
tree.
well, that tree
Yeah,
had
there
to
was a
be
tree
here.
there.
Well, now, was it, what side of the house? Across and
Not very far across, though.
where's the ditch we used to slide down and get our
I
pants
don't
on?
know, we
That was
always,
on the road, wasn't it?
what was over, it was after we left the straight down and coming down over that pasture.
Yeah, it was down over around Boyd.
But we used to go right through there, right up along the edge of them woods and meet Madeline and
Yes,
them
I remember
halfway
that.
up there and they
But now
played.
to me it was on this side.
No. Don't think so.
But since that's the line, that would be it coming
Yeah,
down
that's,
through
that's
there.
the
and
line,
we
'cause
went up
that
there.
electric company comes through there, see?
Yeah.
It's right on the, yeah.
Oh, now we didn't come on down that
We
way.
come up across here.
We stopped up there at that field and come down across that field.
Okay, walk right down where I was, and I followed the lane,
Oh, you did?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
right down there.
Right.
It goes, you
Well,
can
what's
see
this
it.
back here then?
It kind of goes
Well,
at
they
an
might have
angle
come in
like
that
that.
way, but
It's
now they
been
didn't go any farther.
60 some odd years, honey. A lot of people could come in that way since then.
Well, yeah. Yeah, that's
Jess, come with me and I'll show you.
true. Well,
Did you jump the fence?
well, I thought I'd found a lane here, but
It wasn't a house, it was a box.
yeah.
Just down in the ground. And
Well, I would imagine it'd be all be rotted away, but now was it rock or?
no, he had a box fixed down in there.
We had pasture up there in front of the house, but now it didn't have water in it only when it rained.
Yeah.
But after it got to the spring down here, it did.
I said, yeah, well, they didn't have.
I think that this is it. Right through here is where that road comes.
I'd like to get across this, can I? I may never get back to the house. Red halls?
What's a hole?
You don't know a hall tree?
No.
What?
We'll go
Um,
this way.
What's a hall? It's just a red, hard.
It's sort of like a crab apple,
Crab
except
apple.
a little bit
And
smaller.
you made
Beads.
made necklaces out of it. Did they
And we
stain your
ate
neck?
them.
Oh, we ate them. We,
You
didn't
know,
have time.
they look like just a little miniature apple, about like that. And it had a little stem on it and a little core in it, like an apple, except it. And we'd eat around those little things and have the core left like an apple core.
Make it look now. Okay. I'm not pushing, I'm just holding.
You
In
okay?
another month, these would
You
all
all
be in
right?
bloom.
Yeah. Good thing that
See that?
good thing that was the other leg.
It didn't come all the way to right at the creek, but it didn't come all the way into it. There's another creek come out, and I bet you that's right back to your left there.
Huh?
There was a spring come out, I believe it's right back there. There's a fall. The spring house right there. Come right down over the house,
Came
from the
down
house
over
to
the
right
hill.
there. I bet you that was it right there. And when it rained, you had to come down here and get that stuff out because the water would get too deep. And it run into that other branch. There's water in that branch right there.
There's a trickle.
I want to find those rocks we put to swing out on the drive.
The river.
Now, how far are we from the river right now?
Oh, half a mile probably. Not very far.
Do you remember where Maria and Leland's cabin was?
I was there. But I don't remember very well. But
It was on this property.
Yeah. It's on the back of this property one time.
And Dad used to keep hogs over in here and on this side of the creek. There's spring up here now. Oh, Bigfoot, look at there. That looks like pig's track.
At Marie.
the snake jumped out of that sycamore there?
At Marie.
How old was she when that happened?
Oh, she was, I suppose, teenager. Because I was big enough to be out here running around.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know, we were coming down through here. There was an old rail fence that went back up through here. And there was a big sycamore tree, and we was playing around here, and first thing you know, zoom, a snake jumped out of that tree. And, but now I bet this is where the rail fence, there's no rail up there, that's where the rail fence went. Sit. Oh, we found the tree.
Looking for a rail fence.
We're hunting the rail fence now. Gene Autry sings. I've heard him say that many times.
Didn't care if it's Gene Autry.
No, he just didn't care for Gene Autry.
Hi, Donna.
Nope, didn't work. Oh yeah.
Let's not pick any of the poison ivy though, okay? I don't want to take it home.
No, there's your fern from the old home place.
But see,
So
that's,
you think that's the spot there is where
I would
his
say that's
initials
where
were?
his initials was at, right?
There was a GF there, huh?
I would say there was. Because it was more, it's growed out over it.
You found your one, huh?
Empty.
Oh, that's an empty one. Marietta found the full one.
I was going to tell Georgie that's found. Because see, they.
Did you ever find your spring house?
Yeah, it was back
Your grandpa was one who didn't care for weeds at all, did he?
Yeah, he didn't like them. Him and weeds didn't get along. Yeah, the spring house up there, there's a little water coming out of it, but the house is not there anymore. Georgie, I found the tarpon shell with their initial on it.
Can you see the initials?
Yeah. There's where Dad carved his initials.
You know, there's one in up Provo Canyon. Grandpa carved his initials on.
That's the tree he carved his initials. You can't tell it, but right here. And he set it out and all along there. That's a beech tree.
So he would carve the whole area out around his initials.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He left his initial in, so he
Left it in and carved out around.
found it. Here, I found tarpon shows your initials on. That's just a show.
Oh my God.
With my initials in it.
I told Duane I was gonna.
Show it to Mike.
Is this poison ivy?
No.
No.
That's just
Shucks, I was gonna rub it on Doc.
There's a handkerchief.
Yeah, Duane found that there while
That's probably the one I had.
Canyon on a picnic. And we cooked up there. I don't know what we cooked, but it was an hour or so before we had dinner ready. And we lost Dad. And I said, Lynn, I am afraid that he just wandered off and doesn't know his direction to
he's
get back.
carving his initials someplace.
So Lynn went looking for him, and he found him up the mountain quite a little ways. And he was sitting with his legs straddle this tree, and he was carving George Fields, whatever July the 4th, and whatever that date was. And so before we moved from American Fork, we went back up to see how.
Was it still there?
Yes, they were still there.
But
Yeah.
now, see,
That's been 60 years.
Yeah.
that's been 80, maybe 80 years since that was
Sure.
carved on there, see.
Because see, we moved away from here when I was 3, and I'm 65 in October.
See, that's 62, and he did that a long time before. Before then.
So, and we used to have speckled chickens. And we'd pick up these speckled chicken feathers and pretend they were our polka dot dresses.
The rooster feathers were real silky, you know how roosters. Now that was the women, and the hen feathers, those big coarse ones, were the men. Oh, weren't we funny?
Those are probably as good a toys to play with as anything
anything,
you got
yeah.
in the store.
Do you remember the Christmas? Jess got a little cap gun, and Dad went out and he shot this cap gun, and he came back in and he yelled up the stairs. He said, "Did you hear Santa's whip? He's cracked his whip at the reindeer."
No, don't remember that.
Well, that was the year I got a doll.
Well, you and I
A
both got
crybaby
dolls,
doll.
and they cried. I
Yeah.
remember those dolls.
And you know what? I knew we were going to get them because
Oh, you like Pat? She always found everything.
Yeah, and you know where she had them? She had a barrel that she kept the flour in. And that's where they were. I found them, but I didn't say anything.
I didn't know Pat ever found out every Christmas present she ever had until she was growing, and she told me where she found them at. She was right. She said, well, I found them every year. I knew before Christmas got there.
Hey, Georgie, here's your spring box.
What'd you say?
Here's your spring box. It fell apart.
Well, that would have.
Is that what it is? That's
We
what you call
found
a
we
joke.
found that spring.
We
I'm
think,
sure.
Jesse thinks he did too down there on
Yeah.
where the water was.
Yeah. Where
started-
Where it was wet there.
Up from there on, there was no water until we got down to that, and then there was some water in the branch.
I'm
So
sure
I'm sure
that's
that's
where-
where the spring
Where it was.
was at. Well, why didn't Jesse go get his car and come pick me up? Instead of he going getting his, picking him up. Is that garlic or onions? Looks like garlics.
That's how old wild onion.
Wild onion or wild garlic.
I don't know.
There's not much difference in it. I never had anybody sticking around with a mic in my time I talked. Before.
Now you know how the movie starts, feels.
Yeah. Oh,
We'll let your great grandchildren look at this.
look at this. Well, good.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that Old Orleans thing. I've already seen it 3 times, and I'm going to look at it again
I want to see it once more before we go home.
I go back up there, because no one up there would know anything who it was.
I found that people enjoy just seeing what it was like 50 years
Well,
ago, even though they don't know the people.
Yes. And but when you say, "Oh, there's so and so," and some of them I didn't remember their names.
Yes, I knew that I should know that person, but I couldn't associate the
And
face
there was
with the name.
one man that had a big Adam's apple, and I said, "Now I remember that Adam's apple, but I don't know what his name is."
It's a nice breeze.
Oh yes. I hope Mike finds something he wants. Beside a horse.
You certainly had a nice view up here.
Oh yes. we had so much else that we didn't know we were poor.
Wonder what that tree is.
I'm gonna run into a van.
Find where Dad had that
Behind your car.
pipe in the ground.
For
Where
the
the water
spring
run
house?
into
For the
the horse trough.
There's a pipe right up here where you cross Georgia.
Yeah, it'd have been right there, 'cause
there's pipe right up
Well, I
there.
don't remember
No, no,
that,
this was
Gladys.
down
Where
in the
was that?
creek,
Down
down
in the
below
creek?
the spring house.
No, we never saw that. No, I didn't find the
The water just run out there
rocks that I
continually.
thought we laid Wayne out on to dry. They seem to be pretty well covered over.
You found a horseshoe.
Adrianna, do
oh no.
all these young bucks can pull you up.
Young bucks.
Well, they've already had me down out there.
Well,
I shoved her down just like I shoved you down.
He went to help me and give me a push, and down I
that's
went.
what he was doing with me that night.
I
First
just
thing you
quit
know, I
helping
was down
people.
on
Every
my
time I
knees.
do, they fall down.
We're fragile.
You go too fast.
That's,
he pushed
that's
me
because
back.
I'm so young.
Yeah, I know. Well, you're the baby, so you'll be younger than the rest of
Mike,
us.
here, take this one and take a couple of us all together.
Don't say anything you're not supposed to hear because he's got that thing.
No,
on.
Yeah, he got that
He's
thing
holding it up against you as a
aimed at
witness.
us.
Jess, do you remember the time when you got a cap pistol for Christmas and Dad went out and shot it after we'd gone to bed, and then he came and yelled upstairs and said, "Did you hear Santa Claus, him crack his whip?"
Yeah,
He done shot him. Huh?
he's already.
No, he shot that and said that was Santa
No.
Claus.
Santa Claus
That was
cracking his whip.
cracking the
Get his
whip.
Oh,
reindeer
cracking the
started.
whip.
Crack.
Get his reindeer started.
Was it
But
Lawrence?
that's about the biggest thing I ever got for Christmas.
Yeah, I
Well,
bet.
Sue and I got
We got dolls that
dolls
year.
that cried. I
Was it
remember.
Lawrence that wanted a pony and Dad put a piece of horse manure down in his sock? He said, I had him, but he got away.
I remember the year you got those dolls. Mom had them hid out in the summer kitchen in some barrels she had stuff stored in. She went out there to get something out of that barrel and turned one of them over and it said, "Mama," and she just jumped like she shot. And said, "You shut up."
Well,
We never had very big Christmases.
No.
Well,
When
I told Duane we was poor, but we didn't know it.
No, we
No.
didn't know.
no, you didn't.
Well, everybody else that
was
lived
too,
around us
so-
was in the same
We
boat.
had anything and everything that you wanted to eat.
Oh yeah.
And I remember when I was, first year I went out here to Burris, well, the only year I went out here to Burris, they would serve hot dogs on buns. And I thought that was the
Treat.
most wonderful thing to get to eat one of those hot dogs. And maybe I had a tenderloin sandwich or a ham sandwich.
That's
You
what
didn't
I
want that
told
hot
them.
dog.
But those hamburgers were those hot dogs were, to me, were the most.
Well, you're
wonderful thing.
you're like, what's her name? She's wanting a hot dog.
Oh, she wanted a hot dog for breakfast.
That's what I was saying. You have to get her a hot
Kids
dog.
doesn't have that. And
Well, now, Sue said she don't remember ever having a Christmas tree when they lived here.
I don't remember.
I don't
You
think we
remember?
ever.
Christmas
I don't
tree
think
Oh,
we
yeah,
ever
we
had.
did some, but
Jess,
not a
you
lot.
and
I remember when we
went
had a
out
Christmas tree up.
Oh, I
Toward
remember
Wheat's
the
house.
and
Up
cut
in
it.
there,
Making
and we cut
the-
a tree.
Cedar tree.
And we pulled it on the sled.
Yeah.
Back to
chains
the
there
house.
in Orleans for trees.
Well, we
but
had
now
a
I don't
Christmas tree
remember
up
it
here,
down here.
but
I
of course
can't
I
remember
wasn't
ever
too
having
old at that time. I don't know how old I was.
You
But
remember
usually we
having a
went to
tree.
Grandpa's and Grandma's. And
They had
Grandma,
a great big.
Grandpa got a tree bigger than that in there and put it in the house. I'll tell you, I never saw anything like it.
Well, I just don't remember it. 'Cause
I don't remember Christmas tree.
They're not down here, but
And
I
they
do at
always
the
had
farm at
oyster
Orleans.
soup.
I remember
We
those.
always had oyster soup. at
Yeah,
Grandpa's.
we went to Grandpa and Grandma Bass's and they always had oyster soup.
Well, now we used to go to Reeth and Ellen's after they married. We used to go to your house after you
Yeah,
got married.
that was.
That was on New Year's, wasn't it?
No, we
went-
had
Yeah.
Duck Mulligan, whatever.
That Duck Mulligan, that's when
Whenever-
Bree
Well,
throwed
that was
everything in
after
but the
Grandpa
kitchen
and
sink.
Grandma weren't able to do anything, but as long as they were able,
We
always
went duck hunting. Then we'd have her when Ruth went duck hunting. Then we'd have her
Yeah,
duck mulligan.
whenever he went to Arkansas and got his ducks, that's when we had Duck Mulligan. It didn't necessarily have to be a holiday.
Well, I thought they used to go to Ellen's on Christmas Eve, though.
Well, might be. And I was thinking. it was
And
on New Year's.
I think the last
They-
time Grandpa and
They
Grandmother.
had a radio, nobody else had a radio.
Nobody else
Yeah.
had a radio.
We
And we
Had
listened,
that
used to
magic
go there and
eye
listen
on
to
it,
the
didn't
country
it, Jess?
music.
We'd
Listen to
listen to the
country
Grand
music.
Ole Opry.
And DL and Opal had always come too.
I can remember going to D.L. and Opal's and having oyster stew.
I remember going to play cod glaciers one time and having chili soup and oyster soup, both.
Well, the last time I remember Grandpa and Grandma having it is when they lived on Hancock out, not the old house that they bought, but they'd rented this one on farther east.
Farther east, yeah.
And we went out there. The one rented from, oh gosh. Can't think of the man's name now.
You mean that old man that lived there that...
Well, what was that man's name? I know him. I know his daughter.
Was
She
that
married
the place where Grandma
man.
had the rooster that would chase us?
Huh?
Grandma used to have a rooster when she lived out there somewhere.
Yeah.
And every time I'd go out with Grandma to feed the chickens, that rooster would chase me, and he was mean.
Oh, they get mean sometimes.
When you got the cinders in your knee from falling down.
Oh, that was Marie.
He's got that
You know things, there are certain things that stick in your mouth. And they had a flag, an American flag that they had over the casket. And they had it on the outside of the house, under some trees in the front yard. They had chairs sitting up, and the people sat there. And I sat on Dad's lap during the funeral. And
Grandpa
I
or
remember
Grandma?
that. This is plain.
Grandpa?
Grandpa.
Well, it'd be Grandpa if they had the
I thought they
flag.
took him in
Grandpa's.
the
Did
wagon.
I say Grandma?
Wagon. I thought they took him in the wagon.
Well, they did. She said a
It
horse.
was a horse-drawn hearse.
No,
I
it was
didn't
a
think they'd
wagon.
take
It was a
him.
wagon.
He
He
didn't
didn't
want
want
a
It was
hearse.
so wet and muddy that they took a wagon.
He
Put
didn't want a
his
didn't
hearse,
casket on the wagon.
and he didn't want a casket. He just wanted the pine box. And
Well, that'd be quite expensive today.
yeah.
Yeah, it
It'd
would
probably be
today.
more expensive than the
now
casket.
ain't now I made a shroud. He wanted to be buried in a shroud.
Wanted to be buried as near like Christ as he could, so he wanted to be buried in a shroud. Dad went to Bremen's to buy the material, and of course they didn't know, and Dad didn't know how much it taken. They told him, said, just take the whole bolt and use what you need off of it.
What color was it?
It was a black or blue. I know
It was
it's not.
black or navy blue.
I
or
don't remember that, but I remember.
maybe it's purple.
But I
don't
thought
know.
it was a
Maybe it's
horse-drawn
swirl
hearse.
roll.
No, it was a
It was
wagon.
a wagon. And
Do
they
you
put a
remember
flag.
when he died?
Dad come up
What,
and woke us
I
up.
mean, I mean what year?
Hmm?
What year he died?
How old are you? What year is you?
1923 is when he died.
Was it 23?
I was
Yeah,
8
same,
years old.
same year I was born.
Yeah, I knew it was. That's
How long did Grandma live?
Huh?
How long did Grandma
I was
live
in the
after?
first grade when Grandma died.
Well, she lived a few years after that because I was married when
think-
Grandma died.
I think I was 3 years old when she died.
So she lived 3 or 4, maybe 5 years after
She
Grandpa
died
died.
around Thanksgiving time, I remember.
Armistice
she
Day.
died
She
before.
died on Armistice Day.
Getting
Because they
hard,
come and told me
Well,
at
now
the
she
factory.
died before they moved to Orleans.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
I was 3 years old when they moved to Orleans.
I don't think she lived but a couple of years
Just a
after
couple of
Grandpa.
years probably after Grandpa died. We can go by the cemetery and find out very easily while we're
I just
there. out here.
remembered I was in the first grade because Bertha Coglaser taught school. And she came in and told the teacher to tell me that Grandma had just died.
Well, see, this was during the war, starting of it.
At Jockey?
And, no, she didn't go in.
1918.
Oh,
And
first.
they said that you couldn't be off, at the factory.
Oh.
You'd
Well,
lose your
well,
job.
she died
So when
before.
they come and told me, that's when Grandmother died. When they come and told me, well, of course they told me to go on, I could go on home. And
What war?
What? The
we wasn't in war yet, but they was
Spanish American.
they was working
Revolutionary,
on
I
it. They was working on it.
Grandpa Fields was in one. Which was it?
That was
He
Civil
was
War.
in the Civil War.
He was in Civil
Grandpa
War.
was in Civil
So this would have been a war of, 1812?
That's about
War.
yeah.
One.
How old was you? 1812? How old was you then?
The First World War.
One.
Yeah, yeah, it was
World War
First World War. No.
No, she didn't die then.
Well, I was going to say, I thought she was still alive. And
I
wasn't
think
born
she
till
must have
19.
died in 24 or 5.
Susie remembers the big snow.
No.
No, she
I
don't.
just
Why,
know
she
that
does. She's born
I
there.
arrived
Yeah.
in the-
She's like me. She remembers the day she's born.
How far from this road then
When
is
they
it to the
ride
big
home,
hill
me
we
and
used
Grandma.
to go down to the river?
Huh?
There
How
wasn't
far is
anybody
it?
home but
Not
me and
very
Grandma.
far.
That's the way it was with me. Mom went to
Be right
doctor.
over there. We was almost to the river when we turned off to come in here.
Well, that's what I was going to say. We was getting close to it. I
Now,
know.
you know, we
Well,
didn't
then
see
I was about 4.
any
If you was
wildflowers
14, I
out
was
there
only
like
4
we
when
saw
Grandma
out
died.
See, that would have made me
Scott's last year.
2.
Well, it's
You
grown
wasn't
up so
very-
much here, I guess.
I
About
thought
a
there's
year
4
old.
years
Of course,
difference.
Just about
when
a
was
year.
you here
How
last
old
year?
are you?
He don't know. He don't know.
I was born in 1923, Georgie. When was you born?
19.
I was going to say a lot of them are gone.
19.
I saw some
19.
May apples
19.
down there, but they didn't have
So
any
there's
bloom
4
on them.
years difference.
That's what I thought. So
Yeah.
you wouldn't have been born if
I was either born when Grandpa died or when Grandma died. One
you
or the
wasn't
other.
born when Grandpa
But
died.
Grandpa must have died before I was born.
He did,
Yeah, he
and
did.
Mama was pregnant with you when Grandpa died. Grandpa died in May, and you was
Oh,
born
okay.
that fall.
I can remember.
Was that Grandpa or Grandma that
No,
died
that was Grandpa.
That was Grandpa.
Grandmother died in the fall on Armistice Day.
of the same year?
No.
Okay,
No.
Howard. See, I said I was in the 1st grade when Grandma died.
Yeah.
Okay, and I remember that I was in the 6th grade when you started to school because I could hear you crying
Screaming
and
all the
yelling
time.
all
Never
the way
heard
upstairs.
such a noise.
Me.
I never heard such
I
a
want my
noise in
mother.
all
I want
my
my
life.
sister.
Clara Sproul still remembers that.
You know what she told me?
What?
She can tell you a lot of things.
That you were
I should tell him some
crying
things
and
she
hanging
told
on to Mom, and Mom just pulled you off and pushed you toward Clara and said, "You just keep him, no matter what he does, keep him." And she said that Howard just wrapped his legs around
Her heart.
No.
Well, I remember that Mary Davis always told it on
On me,
you,
it cried.
that
When
you
we went
cry
to
and say,
birth.
I eat with my sister.
I eat with my
that
brother.
My brother.
I remember that.
Well, you know, it is a change when you think about it. Anyway,
Oh,
when you
yeah,
say
it's a
don't
change.
go
Well,
to
you had to go
with Mom.
clear up the stairs to get to where Barnes is at. You was down the stairs.
I was downstairs.
Well, I went to school so much with the kids.
Yeah, you had visited
I'd
so
visited,
much that
oh,
that's what
I
you
don't know
thought
how
you
much
would do.
time. I thought as soon as I went to school, I'd just get to go with them. Sit there and play like I always did.
Well, we had an awful time with Scott when he started school.
With who?
Scott.
Oh, did you?
Oh, he went to Riley. He's all right till he got out to go up the sidewalk. And then after he got inside, he was okay. But after going up that sidewalk, boy, he just screamed bloody murder.
That's just like Bruce when he started in kindergarten. Went the first day and he'd back home before the class took up. And
Well,
so
Howard's kids used to.
he went the next day and come back home. Told Dorothy, he says, "Hey," he says, "I'm not going to school anymore." And Dorothy says, "What makes you think that?" He said, "Well," says, "I went to school and the teacher told me I was going to have to make up my mind whether I was going to come or not." And he said, "I made up my mind."
He wasn't going to go.
You know, Mark
you
played
was
hooky.
talking about this man that lived
When he
down
was in the first
below
grade.
Grandma and Grandpa.
Yeah.
Where they finally rented that house and moved down there. I can't think of what his name was now.
Tolbert?
Yeah, Mr. Talbot. Talbot or Talbot. And we went to Huron to some kind of a thing down there. We used to go to Huron to something.
It was a family reunion.
Family reunion or something. Well, anyway, Grandma and Grandpa Bass was there, and Aunt Murdy, Mom and Dad and us, and this Mr. Talbot came in. No, Aunt Murdy wasn't there. It was Mom, and he looked at Mom, and he said he didn't know Aunt Murdy had a twin sister, and he said, "Well, how the hell did you get here?"
You were outside when I left.
You was outside when I left, and Mom said, "Well, I'm fast," and she never did tell him that what the difference was till he got back home, and there was Aunt Murdy. "Well, how'd you get back home so fast?" And she said, "Well, I haven't been any place," and so she had to tell him she had a twin sister.
Well, now, Fred Davis used to tell a tale about Dad when they first started Consolidated School and they first had their parent-teacher meeting. He said they got into a room. I don't know whether it was at Consolidated or where it was at. He said we got into the room and said George was standing back there in the back. He said everybody got in there and said it was hotter than a firecracker. And he just remembered looking up and seeing Dad shut the door and go like this and then go back out. And said all of a sudden everybody started sneezing. It just come up toward the front, just like that, you know.
He had pepper.
He had sneezing powders and he just blowed it out and walked out the door.
You know, Howard also tells a story about Dad that I don't believe.
Now, somebody told that on him, and I don't know. He never denied it.
You know, I remember that car so plain and going
Oh,
to
I
a
do
different
too. I
school the
remember
day
we
he
got it.
bought it. And he tooted the horn and passed the school bus, and there was Dad driving that car. And I didn't think he ever knew how to drive a
He
car.
did.
And Howard says, now you tell what you told
Well, now
me.
somebody told me that was at a banker, either Mitchell or Orleans. I don't remember which it was now.
He bought it at
He
Mitchell.
got it at
Spot
Mitchell,
Davis.
so it must have been
Spot
at Mitchell. The dad went to Spot Davis and bought that car. And Spot said, Dad said I'd have to go to the bank to get the money. And Spot said, why don't you drive the car? And Dad says, I don't know how. So he showed him how to work the pedals. And Dad drove to the bank and pulled up there by the bank window. They had just, didn't have no curbs or anything. Just pulled up there and said, whoa.
It didn't stop.
It didn't stop. And so he got out. He busted the window out. And he got out, walked up there to the teller. And the teller said, George, what can I do for you? And he said, I want enough money to buy that car and pay for that window.
I never heard that.
I never either.
Now, I heard that. Now, and I asked Dad about it before he died. And he just, that was about all. He never said yay or nay.
I always thought that Lawrence drove the car for a long time.
Well, he did.
Before Dad ever learned to drive.
Well, Dad drove it home.
He drove it home.
Did he drive it home?
Yes,
I
he
can't
did.
remember how it got
Because
home.
he said
Well,
they told
Fiddler
him how
wasn't
to-
nobody on the road but him, and surely he could keep it between
I don't know.
the fences.
Addie couldn't. Renita tried to teach Addie how to drive.
Because you
and-
didn't
and-
see any cars
she
in
finally
days. If
said,
you
well,
seen
one
anything,
thing-
Well,
it's
Georgie
all
wasn't
right.
any better.
Well, Howard.
I tried to teach her how to drive.
She had a poor teacher. That.
Pay for my driver's
Pay for
license.
his driver's license. I could have his bicycle. Thank you. So I said, all right, and I went up and got his driver's license for him. And that night somebody stole the bicycle, and he never did find it.
Just found pieces of it.
Just found pieces.
Found pieces
So-
of it.
Remember that.
I did. We lived there in.
Well, I went to Bob Harrison's. They had a
Yeah,
birthday
right over
party
there
for me, and I
Main
parked it out
Street.
in front of the
Lived
house.
on Main Street there.
No, we lived in Mal Stevens'
And
house.
then Miles Stevens's. I went to Bob Harrison's for a birthday party. They had a
So I
birthday
didn't.
party
I
for me.
paid for his driver's license, and I never got any bicycle.
Where's Miles Stevens' house?
A little Negro boy went down the street on the bike. And Doyle come in and said, hey, Mom, come and see this monkey on a bicycle. He'd never seen a Negro.
Is Jim the next? When they lived out here on right up here. We would take you every spring and buy you new outfits, new suit, Marietta.
You got the words.
See my job on the tombstone.
Why, you
I've
work
not
on
seen
it?
I put acid on the tombstone. You done seen it?
You got
haven't
part of a
seen
gun there?
I don't know.
That looks
Well,
like it
that's-
could be.
that's the
That other
big
part.
That other part right there looks like it could be a part of a
hoe or
stalk.
pick or
No, it
something.
looks like a stalk of a gun. See?
Oh, it might
What have you
be.
learned out
See here? There's your.
here? What have you
I
learned out
learned
here?
that we
What-
do remember some things.
And we disagree on some things.
We do remember a little bit. Yeah.
A lot of waters went under the bridge.
Since
We
then.
learned-
Now,
we
when
learned
was the
they don't
last time
disagree on nothing.
any of you were out here?
Was out here.
Good.
Oh, I don't know. It was after Aunt Nellie died, and she died after Dad did, didn't she?
Clyde Neal lived here the last time I was out here.
He did
Well, there
last time
wasn't
I
nothing
went.
here
I've
last
been
time
here
I seen
since
it.
That
then.
was, that
But
was
we
about
walked in.
19
Well, I was here when
40,
we lived up on
maybe.
the
I
I
hill.
know.
was too.
I
I
guess
came
come
down
out
here
here to
with
his
you
funeral,
when
I
the
don't know,
Williamses
'cause-
That's
lived
what I
down
was
here.
here for.
Well,
Yeah.
Cletus Williams
Wouldn't you
lived
say it
here.
was about 1940?
I was down here.
I
Yeah.
left. I went to Utah in 1944.
Yeah.
Well, now,
I
when
would
did you
say
live
that.
over here, Gladys?
Well, she lived over here till after Jim was born, didn't you?
Yeah, well, Marietta was born up there shortly after we moved up. Bill was a baby.
Well, what year would that be then?
How old are you, Marietta? When were you born?
She knows, Helen.
She was born in 36.
Huh?
I was born about
1945.
You're 39 and
She was
holding,
born
aren't
in
you? Like me.
36.
I'm
And
just
we moved
29.
away
I
in
don't know what you're talking
41.
41.
Pat'll be
Not
39.
even 39. No.
Jim- Jim
Pat will be
Year's
39 in December.
Well, I came
and
back here
don't know
one
if
time
she'll
with
be.
Dad, and I thought I was just about 9 or 10 years old. I must have been older than that then, because there wasn't anybody living in the house at the time we come back
I'm
here.
going to kick you out till you're 7
And we come back
I didn't start
this
school when I was
lane
7
about
years
like
old,
we
Mom.
did today.
Now you come.
Mom,
We
you
may
got-
have come that way,
Yeah, back over this way.
but somewhere from that direction, and we came back here, and there wasn't anybody living in the house at the time.
Didn't you see where the lane used to come through?
Yeah.
Up there in that plowed
Yeah,
ground?
yeah.
I said, now that's where they did go through.
That's
for
the
a
way,
while.
that's after they changed it from
Yeah.
out here, that's the way they came in.
All the one I can remember coming in,
back up that way. Well, that's the way with me. And in fact, the last time I think I was down here, come down to Court Sharp's sale.
Half a year here.
After he had bought the farm. He bought it from Dad.
Yeah.
Court Sharp did?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't remember who bought the farm.
I thought Lance.
Court Sharp did.
I thought
And Lance's had them.
the bottom
Yeah, but then they bought the rest of it too.
Land down
And
there.
then
They
sold
bought
it to
that,
Court
but
Sharp.
Sharp didn't want that. He just wanted
I thought
the
they bought it and then sold it Court Sharp.
I thought they sold it to Lance because Lance
Yeah.
thought that they could.
That's gonna be stone.
Their
That's
cabin
been-
was.
Then their cabin wasn't on our property.
No.
Oh, I always thought
It was on that land.
Can't get it to go back.
It was. I thought it was on
Grandpa
his
thought
yard.
it was
I thought it was on ours.
No,
I always thought it was on our
I never thought it was.
The fence has been on the other side of it all the time.
Do you think that Leland's cabin was on our property?
It was on
I thought it was on
I
theirs.
didn't think it was built on ours, but if it could have been that it belonged to Lance. Grandpa wouldn't let
Lived out there by where the railroad track is.
Yeah, I remember
We used to be there.
Dad had a fence and Grandpa and Lance had a fence. And oh, there was good space between them, or old way between them, because Grandpa didn't.
Oh, it hurts today. I
Well,
can't
they used to go back to Man's cabin. Man's house.
1906.
What was that? That was, you were born when?
September the 13th, 1906.
Okay.
Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I think it was, because Brady's birthday, or Carol's birthday was on Friday, and Reese was on Friday, too. So I always thought mine was, because we've always been the same day of the week every year. Carol was born in March, and Reese was born in August, and I was born in September.
But your birthday.
But whatever, if my birthday came on Sunday that year, theirs did too.
Huh.
So, and I know that Carol was born on Friday, so I've always decided Reese and I was too.
Okay.
So what's that sometime in the
Well, I
season?
was born in 1910.
1910.
What day?
What date? I was born
Yeah.
20th, the 20th of June, 1910. And Mom said that was the hottest day in the year.
Out wandering around there.
I guess Jess is over in the Tulies, so I was born 25th of January, 1918. In snow,
biggest snow
knee deep
that
to a
ever I
tall
saw in my
Indian,
life.
so they said.
Knee deep to a tall Indian. Okay.
I didn't get out and measure, but that's what they told me.
I was born November the 25th, 1919. Like it's 2 months to the date, being 2 years between Sue and I.
I was born October the 18th, 1923, and I wasn't supposed to have been here because they said the old rules and regulations, you name the last kid after their father, and her name was Georgie.
He slipped in.
So I was a slip up.
Already used up a good name, right, Georgie?
Yeah,
Yeah, they'd already used up the good name.
already
so
used
he
up
had
that
to
good name.
Give him. I don't know who used name there.
I was named after Howard Smith and
Gus
Grandpa
Bass.
Bass. That much I remember. I was there when they picked my name out.
And Marie was born July the 23rd, 1913.
Mm-hmm. And Lawrence?
November the 22nd.
17 months younger than I was.
You was born when? Yeah, I know what year. 1910. Marie.
So you know,
Born about 1908 then.
no,
What
no,
month
No,
was
he's
that?
old. She's older than
Oh,
ours.
okay, right.
She's old.
1912.
What month?
June the 10th.
June. He was 17 months.
So it'd be
He was 3 months younger.
So he was born
1911.
1911. Marie was born 1913. And Addie, May the 30th.
1908.
She'll be 80 this year.
Yeah, yeah. 1908.
Oh, when was Jess born?
Jess, they want to know when you
Jess,
was
come on
born.
and tell us when you was born.
He wasn't born, he just hatched.
Was you hatched?
1950.
Huh?
Just hatched.
1950.
1950.
What's your birthday?
15.
29th, September.
1950.
September 29th, 1950.
Doyle, that bumblebee likes people around here. He's been swatting around here.
You got spray in your hair. They like that spray.
What's all of this stuff down there?
July
Is
23rd.
that wire?
July 23rd.
There's little cages of some kind.
Cages of some kind.
They built a building there.
Turkey field.
Been a pole building or was supposed to still on the ground.
Something's burnt.
Orange
These
head.
rocks
That's where they
are
used to
around.
burn trespass.
Everything's burned down.
Is there
around
anything
here.
else that you got everybody here together that you'd want to ask them? And I might be able to. We got you all here together. Is there anything that you want to ask each other?
Yeah, when you coming to see me?
You put this on film when you pay it our way.
It's closer this way.
It is.
They can't hardly.
Downhill this way. It's uphill.
They can't
We
hardly
lived
get
as close to you as you do to us.
What?
If we lived as close to you as you do to us, we'd be at your house all the time.
It's all downhill this way because it's uphill the other way.
Oh, it's been how many years since I've been out there? Lisa was 3, no?
She was born while you were there, or else shortly thereafter.
Well, I mean the last time when Ellen and Addie
Oh,
and
yeah.
Patty, Jeff and I came out.
That's
Been
right.
She was
45 years
3.
since I was out there.
How many?
45.
45. He was out there
But you
in
know what?
service.
You've never
Salt
been to
Lake
see
City.
me.
Huh?
Do you know you've never been to see me?
Oh,
I've
45
been
years
married.
ago and you wasn't out there.
Lynn tried to his best to tell me that there was an Air
43
Force base in
years.
Salt Lake City, and I told him about there and showed him where it was at.
Marietta's been to see me. Doyle's been to see me. Sue's been
The
to
old
see me.
hangar was still there.
Mom's been to see you.
And how?
Howard,
It was just a
Lawrence
replacement depot.
was,
Yeah, that's where
Marie, and Jess
That's all
is
it
the only
was
ones
just
that
a
never come out
replacement
to
depot,
see.
but they had, it was
Maria.
kind of a commercial
Marie had? Well,
thing
Jess,
now.
Jess
but
is
it
the
used to
only
be the
one
old,
that's never been out.
Salt
So
Lake.
get him down and
I keep telling him. I tried to.
think we ought to take up a collection.
What's that?
You can't afford to go out and see her.
You're the only one of the brothers and sisters that hadn't been out there.
I've been out
Where do you hook it up?
She just wasn't there.
Times. And we both went to the same place to take our basic training down in Florida. He lived in a hotel and I lived in a tent. And that's the way life has been all the time. I've lived in a tent and he lived in a hotel.
Do you believe that?
He lived in a hotel and I lived in a tent.
Hotel. Room cost
And
90.
Emerson Pruitt.
Huh?
Emerson Pruitt was out
Went
there.
in with me.
He went in with you.
Uh-huh.
Was he in the tent?
He was in a tent with me and Jess was in the hotel.
I heard him tell about that.
Yeah.
He isn't. He stayed.
You had a cushy life, huh?
They had a scare down there that there was a lot of coral snakes. And if you got bit by one of them things, you just swell up just and die just in no time flat. Me and Emerson Pruitt and somebody else had to go to the restroom that night. And it was way away from our tent. We had to go up a path, got up there at the restroom and headed back, and I had the flashlight. And this guy was walking behind me, and he said, "Howard, I think I got bit." So we sat down on a log and raised up his britches leg and looked. There was a couple of little bitty scratches right there. So we sat on the log and sat there and waited to see if he's going to swell up before we replaced him.
What were you going to do?
We was going to let him swell up, and then we was going to take him to medics if he started swelling. He didn't start swelling, so we just went back to the tent, went to sleep.
We was in St. Petersburg, and if the sun don't shine during the day, they give the paper away. And they give the paper away while I was there, first time in 80-some years, they give the paper away.
Well, it was. I tell you, it was rainy there.
Friend or sister, Nice Brooks.
Nice Brooks. The one that had that mansion up there on the.
Got us out of our tents and told us to pack an overnight bag and bring the rest of our baggage down to the ordinary.
Yeah, her sister died.
So we had them old blue duffel bags, or barracks bags, what they call them, then.
I still got one.
You still got one? Aye. And I had new khakis, brand spanking new, never been worn. I stuffed them in that blue bag, took them down to the ordinary room, and they left them sit out there in that ring all that time. Finally, they took our bags into town and put them in a warehouse where they'd be safe. And left us out there in that tent in that monsoon with our overnight bags. When I got mine back, I was planning on going to town to see Jess, and I didn't have any clothes that I could wear because they wouldn't let me out of the base with those old faded blue khakis on. I don't think did I ever get in to
No,
see you? I don't
no.
think I ever did.
The blue duffel bag faded onto your khakis. Well, then you were both also in
Italy.
Italy.
Neither, we never got to see each other there.
And I think Emerson was over there too.
But I went to Rome one time to try to catch jazz. And he was in Sicily. Was it, where was you at? Corsica. Okay, all right. And I got a letter that he was going to go across to the mainland. And so I went to Rome to try to catch his outfit, but nobody knew where they was at. It was all just strictly secret. Only Axis Sally knew where anybody was at during there.
She knew Adele.
Oh, she would tell. On the radio every night, she'd tell where you was at and what you was doing and what your wives and your girlfriends were doing back home.
You were talking about your duffel bag when we were getting rid of Alfred's mother's things. His duffel bag was in the basement, and it still had K-ration in it.
Oh, yeah, and it'd still be good, too.
Well, he came in and he said, "Don't fix anything for dinner because I'm going to have it." And I said, "What are you going to have?" And he said, "Whatever's in these K-rations." But they were swelled.
Powder. This powder one.
The cans was all swelled like it was ready to pop. Now, she had kept those all these years.
Yeah.
And moved them into town.
Moved them from the country into town.
Yeah, I know Mary Jane.
Well, when they went to send me up the gangplank to go up onto the ship, I had a duffel bag and 2 barracks bags. And I just slugged the duffel bag over my shoulder and tied the barracks bags together and put them one on each side like that, and I started up that thing. And they had lined up right behind me, and I started going backwards. that whole crew just come back. So they shoved me up the duffel bag.
You were so loaded in the back. Huh?
Yeah, all my weight was in the back. I didn't have enough. Susie, I only weighed 109 pounds when I went in service.
Is he complaining or?
I bragged.
Quit complaining then, bragging now.
I complained then, brag now.
Shall we go on to another site?
Yeah, we're going to Bass Cemetery.
Bass
Is that all right?
No.
Bass Sheep.
Sheik
Or
Cemetery.
Sheeks
That's
Cemetery.
where Grandma and Grandpa Fields.
I held some in that bushel.
Huh? So, have you girls enjoyed this? Mm-mm. Okay.
No, not really.
Not really.
Boring when you ain't got nothing to do when you're here.
You just have to listen.
I hate her.
Oh, lemon on there, I don't believe it. Well, it does some people, but no,
Okay.
he was 83 years old.
83. That's a good long life.
She was 70.
I'll give me some acid. Come out here and clean out the Jessica. I never thought of it.
You clean Grandma and Grandpa's. Yeah, Harry. Did you see Ellen's?
Here's Ellen.
Yeah.
You got that?
Was
I didn't
61 years old.
Oh, grief, love.
How old was you when that happened? Huh? There's buried back here. I don't know which one it is.
Yeah, I.
Did you ever get that in on film?
Well, yeah, I've got Ellen talking about that.
Okay, all right. I didn't know what you ever.
That
I don't know which.
Is what?
mother, I think it is.
The woman who raised her is David L. Sheeks' wife, and,
Well, yeah,
David
but,
L. Sheeks.
see,
Who is our mom's nephew. He brought me a copy of 2 letters that Sam Bass wrote to his uncle to borrow money when he was in Texas.
Oh yeah?
I was thinking that.
You have those?
I have copies
this
of
is
them.
Sam
I
Bass's
could make you a
mother's
copy.
Sure, I would love that.
That's Sam's mother's grave right there.
Daddy, I found a grave
Jim took
that when it was a lady, she died 1840.
She was
Is that the oldest one, Daddy?
Well,
Is there anything?
there's
Died June 1861.
what date?
June 3rd, 1861.
Now, this
Okay, one
here, Emily Sheeks, she was a consort.
Yeah, that's what.
Didn't she? Is that the same as a wife? or
I
did they
just
live
wondered if
together?
it was. What does it say? She died in 1863. That's surely not the dead Sheeks that I knew. I'll have to go home and look that up and see
That's
what
the
I
woman
mean.
on top. See, Emily Consort of Denton Sheets.
It's a C-O-N-S-O-R-T.
Oh, you are. C-O-U. No, C-O-N.
C-O-N-S-O-R-T.
Consort. Look that up here.
You want to, what it is? What does it
Wagon
mean?
Quackano.
Duane, what does it mean? No, young Charlie, not old Charlie.
Yeah.
Charlie's boy, Charlie.
What have we had in here? Cattle or?
Well, it looks to me like
Or
moles.
deer.
Looks to me like moles. See here? That looks like a mole run to me. Like it is.
getting tired.
Getting tired, yeah.
Great grandmother.
Yeah.
And
Reese grandfather
she was
was
born in
David L.
1780.
I don't have no idea.
Well, it's just we just ciphered that out. Yeah.
Did you? Well. Well, they were married when they come to Lawrence County, I'm sure.
It's time.
Okay, when I was here last year, I found out that our ancestors fought for England during the Revolutionary War, and Ellen has a book that she gave to me because she thought I'd be interested in keeping it, and she didn't think maybe her kids would. And Albert Fields had gone to North Carolina and looked up all the records he could find, and in these records it shows where they had mass meetings like they were agitating, and these people would break up the mass meetings, these Fields, and be against the colonists as they were trying to plan their strategy for the Revolutionary War. And then there's also several pages of the wives of these people petitioning the government to get their husbands out of prison after the war and to get their land out of hock because they took their property away from them. And it's really an interesting
Now this was in the
thing.
Carolinas, though.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It's really an interesting thing. Maybe when I come next, I'll bring all that stuff I have.
Okay.
If they're here, I know one.
Married Reverend Suse's son. And their son was in a car wreck and been in a coma.
Here's where the old Sheeks house is.
That's what I was telling you.
Michelle, you know that, and that we.
That's where
went
my
in
dad
and
told me. He
sprayed
slept
nail.
the first
I told
night.
you that.
Oh no, Geiger Spring, we turned and went up that way. Instead of coming this way.
Going down this road.
Where they
Well,
had
we
the road,
didn't. We used to go around here to go down.
Well, you can go
past-
that way, but you can also go ahead down the road.
And we
Down
used to
the
go
old
down
railroad.
past where Lawrence Sheeks lived and come in that way.
Go down the old railroad bed that way.
Lived in this
But you can come in this way. Go up the old
Even after Joe and I were married, we went down along that old railroad bed across from there and got those trees we planted out there in the country.
Was that right?
They were all...
Adrianna?
Ed Haverly's cabin and all them are down there. Around
She's
there.
got
Well, Laverne and Zara and them have one down there somewhere.
No, that's over by Booty.
Their old pump house.
So Ellen, how far did the Sheeks house sit down here?
Well, I don't know if I can
Now, that
find
was
it. Used to, the
that was
stone
George
still there.
George Sheeks?
One South Spring Mill Park.
The house that they moved out the park, you'd sit right
That
down
log house, he used to sit down there. And after they opened the park, see, George Sheeks was Albert Fields' relative, so he had the old house moved out to Spring Mill Park, and it's still out there. And my dad has told me lots of times, he said the first night I slept in Lawrence County, I slept in that house.
That's what I just was telling Doyle.
But who was it, Jess or somebody thought it was when they come to buy, but I don't think it was. I think because he was a good friend of Uncle Lawrence's. Him and Uncle Lawrence done everything together when they were young. And I figure he just come home with Uncle Lawrence and stayed all night.
I've heard him say he slept in that house. The first night he slept in Lawrence County.
Because see, they lived down in West, Martin and Davis and down that one. One of these boys died not very long ago. Go through the hole, Gladys, if you don't hit your flag on that thing there, you'll be all right.
Hey, Marty. Now, who's this that you're looking for?
Their name was Moore.
Moore?
Mm-hmm. Grandmother Bax's folks. There's Davis there.
Now, are these? This was Nicholas, Aunt Murdy's last name also?
That was some of Aunt Murdy's people. No, their name Moore. Gosh, I can't remember which one's it.
This is Henry Clay's brother.
I just know that's grandmother Kansas Bax's father.
So this is your great grandfather?
Huh? There's a Bass. This is a Moore. It's Bart Moore.
Okay, now he would have been born in 1804.
Does that say he's 87 years?
Aged 87 is what I read it as.
Yeah, but he had lots of families. Grandmother Bass was not a big deal. So there was lots of children. Get that paper there. And stop to find out.
There's Sam Bass.
Oh, we don't know. He was killed down in Texas. He was robbing a bank or robbing a train or something.
You know what his last words were?
Help me, I suppose.
The whole world's a bobbing around.
The whole world's a what?
A bobbing around.
A bobbing around. Can you read it?
That's it?
Well, this is my grandmother Bass's mother. Moore. Bartlett and
Yeah,
Waffles.
from what I
You
figured.
think Jeff already has
Oh,
these
sure.
dates?
Yes, he's here and Brian Burton's dug this cemetery up with crowbars and things.
Here to yonder. Chris used to say they was going cemetery hopping. She thought they was going out digging things up out cemetery. He's always saying he's going cemetery hopping. And he and Brian Burton's been in every cemetery out through here. And he's still trying to find Joe's grandmother. Great-grandmother. Great-grandmother. They can't find any place where she's buried.
Okay.
I'll have to get that paper there on that thing you had this morning.
It'll tell that.
I need a copy of that for you guys.
Okay. Some of it's not readable.
No, it's
They-
well, I think the ones he made it of.
Not yours, your brother, but mine.
I got Jake and their kids
Henry
did.
Clay's brother.
Did they?
Oh, yeah.
Your great grandfather.
What was his father's name?
Hardersheimer. Neil.
Henry Clay's wife's name was Jemima.
I knew that. I had that down. I told you had one. Her name was one of his ancestors' name was Jemima.
What was Henry Clay's mother's name?
Henry Clay's, I don't know. His wife's name was Jemima.
Jemima.
You know Aunt Jemima?
Henry Clay's father's name was Absalom.
Absalom.
Jeff could tell you what his mother's name is. Boy, he can remember all this stuff.
Well, yeah, he studied it. Getting it all together.
And he and Brian Burton's been in every cemetery there is nothing. And Alfred thinks that's silly. He said, "Oh, I don't care anything about that." And Jeff said, "Well, no, I do." He said, "I just want to know all I can know about my relatives."
Well, we kind of run into stuff.
I don't know what it says.
Dad was always talking about it. He had a little dog and his name was Jack. He ran the big pigs over the fence and the little ones through the track. Then he'd always tell another one had an old dog and his name was Rover. When he died all over.
He died all over.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard Dad say that.
Yeah, Dad was just full of those things. He just full of them. Well, that's what I was thinking, but I didn't remember. That's wrong with his thing. And you know, years ago, you didn't have a radio, you didn't have TV, you didn't have nothing. And I'm telling the truth, Dad had a nephew when he was going with his wife, and turned out to be. They'd come over on Saturday night and stay all night. And Dad would sit up and sing and tell tales. That was real entertainment.
They would come over for that entertainment, huh?
Yeah, they lived across the river from us. And they'd come over, Dad would tell tales and sing.
On that far, so she just turned around, dirtying the floor, and looked around.
Ellen.
Kathy and just laughed.
Solomon Bass was from relation to Grandpa.
I said, "Good thing was a nice dog."
He's in the tomb.
Yeah, I don't know, we'll have to get that date. I think Jeff's got it down. He's dug around here and Brian
That was
Burton's.
kind of
She's a
unique.
stinker.
Yeah, it
She'll
is.
take her finger and
Want me to push you through there? You may not be
guess.
able to get back through
I'll
that
get
big
through that
little
big
hole. You're like me.
Don't hub here. I
You want to take the shortcut going home?
Yeah. Yes, I took a shortcut and got behind everybody.
you have to crawl over the...
Well, they lined up to get on the highway there. And I thought, well, I'll talk about it.
I thought about turning here myself.
I did too. I thought about following you, and then the car in front of Doyle got right out.
And the next time she went across, she got up on her fingers and went around like that. I said, "Now, she's not so dumb."
Do what?
Take my picture.
Well, you
To have my picture taken.
You just you wouldn't come out and traipse around in the wilderness with me.
Subject than I.
Well, I need to know a couple of things from you.
Nothing. And know when I was born?
Uh-huh.
How old I am?
He
All right.
died in
You can tell me that.
1984.
When were you born?
May.
1908.
What day?
What day?
Yeah.
No, I don't either. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
No, no,
Friday,
no, no,
Saturday,
no,
or
no,
Saturday.
28th.
I don't know, Duane.
Like May 30th.
May 31st,
Okay.
1908.
Okay.
Duane,
Uh-huh.
what day of the month did Bill die on?
28th or 29th.
28th or 29th?
Very old-fashioned, like the Kentucky Derby itself. The Derby year by year becomes more national in scope as far as the participants are concerned. This year the horses representing California and Texas, Ohio, and Louisiana, Arkansas, and Florida, Kentucky, New York, Canada, and the free state of Maryland. The big question, however, on everybody's list is still the filly. If she becomes the third filly to win this race, she's also not only a horse of another sex, but of another color. She's a roan. No roan has ever won the big race.
I'm not in here. They've slighted me. You don't see me, do you?
No.
I'm not in the back side or the field side either.
Well, we can't leave you out.
Well, they have. I'm on this, however.
What are you doing to yourself?
Right here. That's all there is.
Let's take a look now at the Kentucky Derby.
Wouldn't work. So they tell you where we went today?
The first, as you see, almost
But you went down where I was born and raised. Did you?
Yeah, we sat right next to the house.
Did you? You know where the old house sat? You didn't find any money down there, did you?
1927 penny.
Did you really?
Uh-huh.
I didn't show you the silver dollar I won down at the Dogwood Festival.
No.
I got a silver dollar.
This year?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
If you also participate,
We signed up at an open house down there.
unless one horse wins
They
all three of
called
these,
me from
that
Salem.
horse is guaranteed
Said, have you signed up at an open house down here? And I said, no, I haven't. I've been to Salem.
$5 million.
And I said, I signed up at Orleans.
Right now in the sunshine is my
Didn't say. He said, well, your name's down here and your address, and you won a silver dollar. So Jeff investigated. He brought the silver dollar. So it's worth a little bit more. More than $1 anyway.
Yeah, really. Yeah, we found the where the spring house used to be.
Oh. Is there still a spring there?
There's a little bit of water in it, just a trickle.
Oh, that was the coolest place. You could go down, just feel the coolness coming out of the spring.
Yeah, that's what Jess was doing, was putting his hand down there to see if there was cool air coming out. He said, no, this isn't the place.
You forget a lot of things.
He was like an antelope in there. He was just climbing over the trees and
See
everything.
bullfrogs. You used to take the cream and milk down there to keep it cool. Set it down there in that spring and put lids over it, put rocks on it, tow the lids down. I've been down there many times. There'd be bullfrogs sitting up on those lids. It's a good thing we put lids
Yeah, have
over
the
it.
lids on your milk there. Also found a tree that figured had a spot where your dad had carved his name in it. It was a nice big square
I used
that
to
had
carve on trees a lot. I like to do that. Probably a lot of trees down there he's carved on.
No, but I mean these wells right there.
Continuing on Brian's time at 7 to 1,
Red
Bernakis at 21 to 1. Seeking the gold could be an
And we was able to drive all the way up there.
Oh, you were?
Yeah,
All the way up to the
we didn't have
house.
to walk at all.
Went back the old lane.
Well, no, it was another road that had been
Oh,
cut
like you
back
went to
there.
Brand Leland's cabin.
Yeah,
Then you went over.
and then went straight up the hill, right up to where the house was. And found the concrete slab where the well was. And that's how they were able to find out where the house was. So we'll have to take you back there, and you don't even have to get out of the
It's
car.
been years since I've been back there. Carmi, Paul Glaser, Dalton, it is now. When she lived down here, and while Marie was still living, we went back there one time. That's been years ago. And there's been a lot of changes since then.
A lot of multiflora rose bushes. It's stickers all over the place. It was hard to walk through.
Of course, it's grown up a lot. Dad never did let it grow up.
Yeah.
I'm sure he has now. He was a good farmer. He kept his farms all clean and the pastures clean and everything. He didn't want weeds growing anywhere.